Jazz clubs around the world are sitting empty, but jazz musicians will always have great music and stories to share. And since jazz fans aren't able to get out to hear great music, we will deliver jazz to you at home. Welcome to Jazz Home Delivery with Tim Tamashiro. Hello, welcome to Jazz Home Delivery with yours truly, Tim Tamashiro. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt today because it was so beautiful in Calgary that it just felt like summer today. So, out raking the lawn. I just want a little inside information. I found the most interesting decoration on the lawn this morning, and you'll never guess what it was. It was moose poop. We have a moose that walks around our neighborhood, and he poops on all of our lawns. So this is the joy of living in Calgary near the edge of the city. We're here with the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days. It's the virtual festival taking place over 28 days in a row. This is the festival that is happening here in the country at the moment, and we're very, very happy to be a big part of that. Joining me today is Amanda Tosoff from Toronto, originally from Vancouver, though. So, we have to give the nod to the hometown as well. Wonderful pianist and a long lister on the Polaris Prize list. And we also have my friend Mark Dejong, who I've known since 1992. Now we've established that, and he's a wonderful saxophonist who has traveled the world and has come back home to Calgary. All three of us are here now together. Welcome. Who's going to speak first? Amanda.
Hi. Thanks for having me on this show, Tim.
I'm so happy to have you on the show. And I got to say, your bookshelf looks just so like you hit it like on the nail with the lights and everything.
Tried to make it look as nice as I could.
You made it look totally professional. And Mark, I was giving you a hard time because you've grown a beard since I last saw you. And that's what COVID does, right?
This is what happens when you don't see people. You just let things go the way nature intended.
Yes,
what's happening.
I think it's a very burly look on you. So I hope you can kind of grow it out and maybe kind of get a little bit of a ZZ Top thing happening there at some point in time.
Yeah, I think, I hope that's not the case because COVID would have to continue for about 10 years.
Yeah. Well, let's knock on wood.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen. Yeah.
We don't want that to happen.
So, Amanda, I'm going to go over and talk with Mark now and have a little chat. And you just stay right there because we're going to come back and you've recorded some lovely songs for us. We're really excited to speak to you as well. So excuse me while I go and talk with Mark. Boom and boom. There's the two of us. Just the two of us. Mark, it's so great to see you.
I'm happy to be here, Tim. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
You've been all over the world, literally, in these last... When did you leave Calgary to move to New York?
I left in 1998.
Yeah.
And I was in Vancouver for 3 years. I had a wonderful time there.
Yeah.
And then it was off to New York in 2001, and I was there for 4 years. And then to Saskatchewan to teach at the U of S.
Yeah.
I was there for 6 years, and then came back to Calgary area about 2010. And I've been here ever since.
That's it's amazing to think that you went all that way and came back to Calgary. It's what is it about Calgary? Well, you got family here, obviously, so that's
family's here, and that's really the main reason. When you have a little one, it's nice to be able to be close to family, and that makes all the difference. I will say. While I was in Saskatchewan, I was traveling back east quite regularly. And I realized in those years that, it's a great privilege and opportunity to be able to visit great places like New York on a regular basis. But I really had no interest in ever living there, quite honestly. But it's not that it wasn't wonderful, but I'm a Canadian at heart, and I was happy to come back to Canada. But being close to family was a big priority. And at that time, 2010, Calgary was it was a very optimistic place to be. And I really missed the mountains. I got to say, I love nature and I love camping and all that stuff. I really missed it. So I wanted to get back to it.
And you live just outside of Calgary now. You probably have a few moose in your backyard too.
Yeah, we don't see moose very regularly. Lots of deer. A fox came into our backyard about 3 days ago. It was the coolest thing to just watch. The proximity to the mountains here it makes it a wonderful place to live. I feel very fortunate and happy to be here.
Yeah, you're literally just right in the foothills, so that's very cool. So you and I were chatting the other day, and with the COVID thing, and so many people not having their livelihood be available to them, you made the point that keeping gainful employment really plays an important factor in one's mental health. How so?
Well, I've found obviously this is a situation that none of us have faced before, at least in a few generations. And I was a little bit panic stricken when the bottom dropped out and our future really was called into question, and nobody knew anything. We didn't have any answers. And then the first opportunities to continue to be engaged as a professional musician, as an educator, I just found them very reassuring, and I just felt a return of a sense of dignity. Not that our dignity was lost or taken away by any stretch, but it really meant a lot that there was opportunities to contribute something in a meaningful way. And to that end, I'm really grateful to JazzYYC and this event that all of you have worked so hard to put together, because the opportunity to do something like this and replenish our engagement with our professional activities, it's very meaningful.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to have a gig of any sort. And,
absolutely.
And at the same time, even when we do these types of things, this is nice because you and I, we know each other and we can have a lovely conversation.
For sure.
But the energy is a little bit different when you're interacting with people online, say for like a business meeting or even doing a live gig online, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was part of our conversation the other day too. And I certainly, and I'm sure Amanda, you can relate to this 100%. I miss so much the opportunity, not just, of course, to perform with other musicians. There's that energy field that is so important to us, but then also the interaction with audience members. And even though we don't always interact one-on-one with every listener, you can feel their presence and you sense that the music that they're hearing is meaningful to them and they're happy to participate, and that energy comes back to us. So yeah, it's not a replacement by any means, but it certainly goes a long way to bridge what we're all going through right now.
Yeah, for sure. You've prepared a number for us that you call Isolation. Tell us about this song. Is it just coincidental?
in preparation, so the Redline Trio, we had an opportunity to pre-record a concert just after everything went off the rails, and
like within days, right?
Yeah. And so I wanted to play something that for me felt like an authentic musical representation of some of the feelings I was having. And so in preparing for this event, even though it's just me and solo saxophone, in a way, I felt maybe that adds a little bit of poignancy to the tune. And so it's an original of mine that's very recent, and it's called Isolation. Just me playing the horn, no bells and whistles, as you'll very quickly hear. But I felt that it was, I don't know, it was just an authentic sharing of something I was feeling through music.
And this is the interesting thing is that this is exactly what you hear every day that you pick up the saxophone. And this is a rare thing for us to hear.
Right. That's an interesting point you make, Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, I often make the joke, saxophone is a great instrument to play, but it's not really convenient when you're sitting around with friends at a campfire. So, a saxophone is the kind of instrument that really lends itself to playing with other musicians. And
Yeah.
of course, a solo saxophone, like a solo instrument, maybe any instrument, has something, there's something valid about it. But I don't play solo saxophone very much. Maybe this will be the commencement of my true solo career.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, with that in mind, Mark Dejong is appearing here on the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days Virtual Festival. We're very, very happy to have you here, Mark, and your isolation piece, Just You on saxophone. And here we go. Here we have Mark Dejong with his song called Isolation, a special performance for us here on our virtual jazz festival. Thank you so much for that, Mark. I was thinking as we're playing through that video, there are certain circumstances where solo saxophone is very welcome. Like in a city late at night, as you lean up against a wall in a back alley. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
the
whole
world of
round
cliched
midnight
saxophone.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That just screams saxophone, right?
That's right.
And
we love to play in very reverberant spaces too. I love playing in a empty church or a concert hall. It's lovely.
It is. And there's one more circumstance I just thought of just now. It's, the solo for Careless Whisper, Like if you could just wail on that sucker anytime, that always brings a smile to people's faces.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you reminded me of that great meme that's been traveling all over the world.
Yes, exactly. I feel like I kind of rickrolled you or something just now. Redline Trio, as you were saying, this is your band that you've created here in Calgary. You did that live recording in Canmore. Was it called Art Space?
The live recording we did a few weeks ago was at Arts Place in Canmore.
Yeah.
And they have a beautiful community, of course, in Canmore. I know a lot of people in Canmore. Quick shout out to my Canmore friends. I work with the Valley Winds Big Band on a regular basis. And so I've developed a beautiful relationship with many people out in Canmore. And so that was a lot of fun. When you first said Redline Trio in Canmore, I was getting ready to correct you because I was like, no, we recorded our record at the Banff Center. Oh, but no. that was our recording.
You just spend all your time amongst the rocks everywhere.
That's right. I love the mountains.
Yeah,
can't get enough.
But I just wanted to bring up the point that you played this particular show to an empty room.
That's right.
Strange concept.
Very
right?
weird, very weird. And I'm sure you'll have a chance to. Well, I don't want to plant your interview with Amanda, but I think this is going to make for some really interesting Q&As after all this is done. You know, what are musicians' reactions and experiences to doing that? I found. I mean, you know, when we go in the studio and record, it was very much like that. You're very focused, and you are kind of, you allow yourself to go into your own headspace and your own world. And it's very rare that you would have an audience in the recording studio. So it's not like we don't have that experience. But what is very surreal is when the piece ends. And then it's like, what do you do? Or say we've developed a rapport and we have a bank of things that we draw on, and there's that rush of energy that happens usually, hopefully, when you finish a piece, and when it's not there, and there's just a red light blinking. What do you say to that?
Well, the word that you kept using the other day,
the Cylons aren't invading. But
the word you used the other day repeatedly was kinetic energy. You're missing out on that kinetic energy between an audience and the entertainer, and it's an exchange of energy that
absolutely. And I think what I'm hopeful about all of this, I'm very encouraged that so many creative things are emerging that are engaging artists and audiences alike. But I also believe that after all this is said and done, I want to really imagine a world where that kinetic energy exchange, as you just described, Tim, the value of that is never taken for granted again, because I feel like people are really missing that. Not just the musicians, of course, the musicians, but the audience members. People, they want to feel connected to the performers and the sounds that come off the stage. And anyway, it's I'm certainly thinking about it in a way that I never did before in my life, because we took it for granted. And I don't think we'll do that in our lifetime again.
And so is there something that we can look forward to? Like, will you send out a greater energy once you get a chance to be able to be out playing again in front of audiences, or will the energy change?
I think it's going to be electric for a long time to come when performances get back to normal, you know. And by normal, of course, we don't know what that holds, but when it becomes possible for people to gather safely to enjoy the arts, I think there's going to be a lot of wonderful electricity, and maybe it'll be a very historic time period. You know,
wouldn't that be interesting? That'd be great.
I'm optimistic, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that about you. I do, very much so. Now, Mark, this isn't the only thing that you've done with JazzYYC in terms of putting something together for a broad audience. You've also done a podcast that you've called "What is Jazz?" Now, is there an answer to that question?
Oh, interesting. I really don't think that there's. I don't want to give it away, Tim.
Oh,
but,
well,
all right.
Okay, well, forget
it's
that
okay.
I asked the question.
No, it's all good. I don't really, of course, believe that there is an answer to the question, what is jazz? Because I think it means so many different things to different people. There's historical answers, there's regional and cultural answers, there's musical answers, of course, and critical answers. But the reason I asked that question, I guess it was a little tongue-in-cheek, something that I've been engaged in recently, again with my friends in Canmore. I've been hosting some jazz webinars, and in fact, some of the participants have been asking me to inquire. Say, would you ever consider doing a webinar about what jazz is or whatever? And I have found in my experience that when we can learn more about anything that's a little bit complicated, our enjoyment is enhanced. So for me to set out to answer the question, what is jazz? Of course, I don't have the answer, but it sure was a lot of fun to explore possible answers. and bring in a diverse group of opinions and use the music to hold up whatever areas we explored. I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Is that? I think that's going up on Monday.
I am not exactly sure. I thought maybe tomorrow or Monday. This weekend.
Okay. If you're watching and you want to see what the What Is Jazz podcast / video, actually, right? It was a video as well.
Yeah, I decided that I wanted to use the voice as my medium, and then we added photos to kind of accentuate the topic as it progresses.
Yeah.
And actually, Cody even was very gracious in suggesting some photos as well. And I'm really happy with the final product. So I think, at the very least, I hope people are entertained.
There you go. You know, I got to say, my favorite class that I ever took when I was in college in music school was music appreciation. And I'll always remember my instructor, Ken Mallett, the first day of school, and he puts on a record and he says, okay, here's the whole reason behind this particular course is that I'm going to play music for you and that we're just going to appreciate it. So you're not allowed to use the word like or don't like. Appreciate what you hear and tell us about it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love, I've said to my webinar groups too, I love doing these sessions because I love sharing music. I think that's why I'm a musician.
Yeah.
And when I get to invite individuals to become, I don't want to say exposed, but introduced. If I can invite them to become introduced to a new recording, I love it. My favorite recordings are recordings that people have recommended to me. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say this online. I don't mean to embarrass you, Amanda, but your CD, words, it was a suggestion to me from Amy Jo Benoit, who you had as a guest a few days ago, Tim.
Yeah.
She said, Mark, have you ever checked out Amanda's recording Words? And I hadn't at that point. And I love it. I love it. And it's because it's great music, and Amanda did a great job with her whole artistic statement, but it was also a recommendation from someone whose opinion I respected. And I love Amy Jo, and I respect her so deeply as a musician. Anyway, that's the joy of sharing music with people, I think.
That's exactly it. That's wonderful. And by the way, Mark, your podcast is going to be on Tuesday. Amanda Tosoff's segment is going to be on Monday. So, no,
Amazing.
Tomorrow morning, Mark on Tuesday. So there you go. This is hot news
Great.
right off the presses. I'll tell you all about this right now. Mark, you've prepared another number for us. It's called Happenstance. What's the thought behind this particular song?
Okay. I'm going to be straight up on this one too. I was inspired by Ross Taggart. So, that Jill Townsend did a recording of all Ross Taggart's music, and he has this, forgive me, Ross, if I say the name of this tune wrong. It's like something about breakfast, lunch, or some early morning meal. And it's a contrafact on There'll Never Be Another You. And it's a great tune. And so when the Redline was getting ready to go in the studio, I set out to write a contrafact, and I had been enjoying working on It Could Happen to You. So I wrote a contrafact on that, and I decided for this video, it's on the Redline Trio release, and I think I'm happy with how we recorded it. Recording it by myself didn't quite seem right, so I added a drum track.
Nice.
From Drum Genius. It's Paul Motion.
Well, so that makes up for it.
Because
Paul
that's
Motion,
one of the well, I love so many of those tracks on Drum Genius. But anyway, I decided to have a little bit of drum accompaniment, and it's just a little excerpt of the tune Happenstance. So I hope your audience enjoys it.
And for those of you who don't know, a contrafact is a piece of music that is written over an existing set of chords for another song. So, for example, I Got Rhythm the Flintstones theme is a contrafact that's written over the same set of chords. So now
that's right.
Everybody
and I just remembered Ross's tune is called TV Lunch.
TV Lunch.
Written over There Will Never Be Another You.
Okay, here we go. The contrafact from There Will Never Be Another You. This is Happenstance from Mark Dejong. Mark, there will never be another you. Happenstance. Wonderful job. Paul Motion playing the drum sample on that. So you talked about some late greats. Paul Motion, Ross Taggart, wonderful musicians, dearly missed. And I'm just so happy that you could give them the nod.
Well, it's part of the wonderful thing about being in the music world is our heroes are documented just on so many levels, and it's an honor to be able to explore their great contributions, and they truly do keep on giving. I know that sounds a little bit cliched and probably a little bit corny, but it's truly heartfelt.
Not at all. Not at all corny at all. I do appreciate your thoughtfulness. And with that, I'm going to have to leave you because we have another very, very talented musician just waiting in the other room.
Hey.
Yes. Well, excuse me, Mark. I'm going to go talk with Amanda Tosoff here. And there's Amanda right there by herself. But now here's the two of us. So nice to see you.
So nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
You no doubt knew Ross Taggart when you were living in Vancouver.
Yes. He is probably my biggest influence, actually. I studied with him in college, and he was just the nicest, most amazing musician, but so encouraging. And yes, I absolutely adore him.
The sweetest man and friend to so many.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're here this evening. You and your boyfriend, who is an engineer. What's his name, by the way?
David Hermiston.
David and you tore apart your piano today.
Yes, we did.
So that you could record some music for us today. So now that you've torn apart your piano and you have microphones up, can you just record a whole bunch of music for us, like every day?
Well, I'm thinking about this is an opportunity to do more videos, which I haven't done in the past. So I definitely plan on doing some more, or maybe even some solo piano writing, and definitely do some more of that for sure.
Is that something that you have taken on in the past, or are you too busy, playing live and being out on the road and doing gigs? Is video something that has been a priority in the past?
No, I'm a little bit behind the times as far as using YouTube and even social media to put out videos. So I actually bought my Zoom recorder for this event, and I plan on using it much more. So, so yeah, I haven't much in the past, but like I was saying the other day, this is an opportunity to kind of, get some more tech skills and put some more music out online.
Yeah. Is that something that, I mean, it's hard to be good at absolutely everything, but, to be able to kind of flex your muscle now in the recording /video /YouTube /social media /everything, does that seem like a hill that is just like, is it something that you can even tackle? I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's already so much to do, just being a musician and writing music and practicing and teaching and all the things that I already do. I actually went to research some books on social media marketing, so I'm going to at least do some reading and maybe get a little more comfortable with it. But definitely, it seems very daunting. But I guess just one thing at a time.
You even said that some of your students who are 20 years younger than you are giving you tips, which is nice.
Absolutely. They certainly are.
That's who you want to hear the tips from, right?
Yeah, it's their world. It's what they grew up with, some of them. So absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you've recorded a couple of really just exquisite songs. I was asking you what kind of piano you have. You have a Yamaha piano that can be either played normally, so the hammers actually hit the strings, or you can actually play it so that it's silent, so that you're not bugging your neighbors or keeping the people awake around the house. That's the perfect piano, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I used to live in an apartment, and so playing all day wasn't really an option. So the silent piano was a great compromise, and still a real piano too. So now I never use the silent feature.
You just never turn on the silent feature. That's right. So one of the songs that you recorded for us is a song that was this written by Billy Strayhorn or Duke Ellington?
I believe it's Duke Ellington, but perhaps I could be wrong. Am I wrong, Tim?
No, I don't want to say that it's as you were saying the other day. Billy Strayhorn and Duke Ellington were just so in tune with each other when they wrote music that sometimes they couldn't remember if they wrote that part or if it was the other person who wrote that part. Is that right?
Right. I have heard that before, for sure. Yeah. And I have actually had it wrong before. So now I'm actually curious. I want to look that up. But I think it's Duke Ellington.
I don't want to make you stressed out about this, but it was a very, very, very good point. Billy Strayhorn and Duke Ellington were such I don't know, they were just kind of connected at the brainstem somehow, and just the way that they understood music and what would write music and perform music. It was a very special relationship. So what is it about this song, All Too Soon? What is it that tastes good to you about this song?
I guess it's in the melody. I mean, it's always the melody with tunes that I connect with. There's just a beautiful winding melody to this tune, and not to get too technical, but I just love the chromatic tones in the melody that then resolve. I love that feeling, and it's just a tune that I've always connected with. Just his melodies, all his melody things. So.
Do you play this often in your own shows?
I do, pretty much every gig. It's definitely a tune I've loved to play for many years.
That's why it's so special, and that's why I'm so happy that you've included it in the music that you're providing for us tonight. So, with your permission, I'd like to play that song right now for everybody. They're waiting. Amanda Tosoff is here in support of the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days. This is the virtual festival. So excited for you to hear this song because the piano sounds wonderful, especially when your 10 fingers are making it work. Here's Amanda Tosoff with All Too Soon. Amanda Tosoff with her rendition of Duke Ellington's All Too Soon. It's so much fun to watch you play the piano.
Thanks.
It is. It's incredible. It's just so much fun, especially when you've torn, the front panels off and whatnot. It's so great to see the guts of a piano.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually don't do that very often. So I actually found it like mildly distracting. Like I kept wanting to watch them.
Oh, well, I think that's, and it sounds like completely different, right?
Yeah, it sounded pretty amazing, actually.
Ferocious almost, right? Yeah.
Sorry?
I love how when you take off the front panels of a piano, how it just sounds more ferocious and it's got a little bit more grit to it.
Right, you're right in it.
Yeah, you are literally right in it. That's really cool. Now you recorded a new album. Was it last year? But you're strategizing now how you can release it and when you can release it so that it's going to be still effective and still be able to help you promote it and tour to support it and all that kind of stuff. Tell me about the album and what's it called?
It's called Earth Voices. And as Mark mentioned, and thank you so much for the shout out about the record. It's a continuation of my last project, which was some music I wrote to some Canadian poets and some lyrics by my dad and sister, Melissa Mansfield and Amanda Tosoff. And this record is basically over the years I've toured the band. I've accumulated a bunch of other songs that I love, and so this record's basically the continuation of that record. Mm-hmm. And this one features 7 of my favorite vocalists and a couple guest saxophonists in my band, and so many wonderful people. So I'm super excited about it.
As you described it, there's a lot of moving parts to this particular album, and so it's complicated to get it mixed and to get it ready. Is that kind of where you're at right now?
Yeah, well, we did start recording actually last summer, and then we had to overdub string parts and vocal parts, and then choose all my favorite moments in all their performances. But I also just had some other things going on, some tour dates out of town, and then some teaching at Humber College. And so I got a little bit busy. So we've had little chunks of time we've been working on it. So now there's no excuse to get it done in the next month or so, which is the aim. So, but whether or not we release it, I was planning on releasing it in October, but I think we might postpone it. I'm not entirely sure right now.
Well, this is it.
Whether to wait.
I was just going to bring up the point that, when you're thinking in terms of releasing an album, you certainly do want to have the ability to be as flexible as possible, to be able to go out and to get to different parts of the country, maybe even different parts of the world, so that you can support the release of the album. That is, I often describe, the music business kind of like in the farming realm, especially, if you're playing. So when you make an album, that is you planting a crop, and when you go out and you tour it, that is you harvesting that album, so to speak. So you couldn't do that during COVID times, could you?
No, and even like to try to book gigs right now, I don't think it's even possible. As far as I know, I don't know if everything's just up in the air. Yeah. So. Now, I don't know about releasing it just online for now, and then hopefully when things get back to normal, trying to get a tour together then.
Yeah.
But yeah, soon.
It is a head scratcher, and that's one of those questions, especially in the music business, where I feel like that there's going to be a sharp decline in the amount of new music that is going to be coming out because of exactly what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You've recorded one more song for us, and I'm excited to play this one as well, because this is a song that you were asked to do once, but it you kind of gave it the hairy eyebrow when you heard it. You kind of went, that song? Tell us what the song is.
Yeah, well, a number of years ago, I did a double bill with a great vocalist, Barbara Lika, here in Toronto, and yeah, awesome. And she had the great idea to do an encore, just the two of us. And so I said, well, what tune do you want to do? And she wanted to do Que Sera, which is a tune she's like from her childhood that she really connected with. And my initial reaction, just internally, was, so I asked her, can I reharmonize it? And she said, okay, sure. And I ended up falling in love with it. And it just feels really meaningful now, too. What will be and not, knowing what the future is going to hold. So yeah, it's a tune I absolutely love now. So thanks, Barbara.
She gave you a whole brand new favorite song and you didn't even know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm excited to play this right now. Our friend Amanda Tosoff is here with the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days Virtual Festival. Que Sera Sera. Oh, man, you've done a wonderful job. Here she is, Amanda Tosoff. Amanda Tosoff with Que Sera Sera, whatever will be, will be. It's a wonderful message to even just kind of think in terms of what we're dealing with right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll tell you something. So since I departed from CBC, I've been studying social media marketing fairly aggressively. And I will tell you this. If you just did exactly what you just did, sat at the piano and played songs and captured them exactly like that and put them on YouTube once a week, you'd get like 50,000 subscribers in the next year or so. And that's really worth your while. This is my interpretation.
Okay, well, I'll do it then.
Okay, well, there you heard it here first. I'm not even going to charge you for that one. No, you are such a gifted pianist and arranger, and I'm just so happy to have you on the show. And it's nice to spend some time with you because I've been an admirer of your talents for a very long time. So thank you, Amanda.
Well, thanks for having me. Great to spend time with you as well, Tim.
Yeah, we got Mark here as well, and boom, boom, and boom. There's all three of us, like the top row of the Brady Bunch. Or we're Hollywood Squares people. Thank you both, Mark. You did a wonderful job, and thank you for your insight into what is jazz. Your episode is dropping on Tuesday. Okay, for the JazzYYC, you can just check out JazzYYC on YouTube or on Facebook. Tomorrow, Amanda Tosoff's podcast is going to be dropping as well. What's the name of your podcast, by the way?
Well, it's on reharmonization, which is one of my favorite things to do to tunes.
That's what you do. That's your gift. It's so perfect. Thank you both for being on the show. I really do appreciate you spending time with me this evening. It's made my evening as delightful as can be. So I look forward to hopefully see you again in person sometime very, very soon. In the meantime, we have some sponsors that we'd like to go and say thank you. This has been Jazz Home Delivery. JazzYYC would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support that has helped bring this virtual jazz festival to you. TD, Jazz Home Delivery, the City of Calgary, Alberta Foundation for the Arts, the Government of Canada, Calgary Arts Development, Inglewood BIA, CKUA Radio, Calgary Public Library, CADME, the Coalition for Music Education, Music Monday, Studio Bell, home of the National Music Center, Decidedly Jazz Danceworks, and the Music Mile. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, please subscribe to this page, and if you want to receive more information about this or any of JazzYYC's other upcoming programming, please visit jazzyyc.com and become a member.